have we talked about this on the podcast? I don't know that we've talked about this. Do the people know about Creepy Todd Hartley?
This is the kind of thing that no, we have not, and I'm always hesitant to bring it up. I'm like, do we want to talk about do we want to make that known? Welcome to My Gotta Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview Georgia's SEC opener with the South Carolina Gamecocks, and we also answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember you can follow us on social media at My Gotta Podcast. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe, rate, 5 stars obviously, and review the show. If you leave us a review, you just might hear it on an upcoming episode. Now, let's join the conversation in progress.
So, Jim, what are you drinking tonight?
I've got the Knob Creek 9 tonight.
Oh, I missed it by a couple of years. I've got the Knob Creek 12. Cheers.
See, cheers. I'm less fancy than you, as compared to you, I guess.
Yeah, I think I've got my my last cube of clear ice, so I'm making a new batch.
I was gonna say this. I'm actually using my new clear ice that I made on Friday. So
from the beautiful slab of clear ice that you posted about.
That was a nice slab of ice, and I posted it on my DIY, site's Instagram account, and got a request for a tutorial. So there may be a clear ice tutorial coming from Dogwood Nation soon.
Put a tutorial, do a little deep link on those Amazon affiliate links, and see if you can get some money rolling into the podcast
for the cooler. For the cooler that you
exactly.
Need. Although I do think I need a different serrated knife to cut it. My knife's not quite long enough. I think I need a bigger one. So
size does matter, Jim. I think I'm using Lindsay, my wife. She's got this set of knives that were probably from Walmart. They're $20 for a set of knives in college. So that's whenever I need to do something sketchy with a knife or something like that, I just go to all of her knives. So I'm ruining her little serrated knife.
Yeah.
No way am I going to use the Cutco knives that I got from Phil Campbell and Derek Cunningham.
I'm still disappointed that they didn't come to ATD Tailgate so that we could have Phil give the Cutco spiel to my mom again, just like during college. Kind of disappointed that didn't happen.
Did she buy any though?
No, because she already had some. She already had some that she had bought from a family friend. That was the whole reason why it kept going on forever, because he kept trying to convince her that she needed more, and she never caved.
I actually want some more.
We went off the rails at the beginning of the episode. That's usually reserved for later, but we started off. I'll try to reel us back in a little bit here.
The night is young, Jim. The night is young. We'll go off the rails again.
True. So we've got the Gamecocks coming to Athens this time, not on your birthday. This is we are past your birthday. I know this is usually birthday weekend, right?
This is, yeah. I was thinking about that today, actually.
And I guess what I kind of wanted to open with is I want to talk through again your disdain for them, because I feel like you and I have very differing views of South Carolina. Because I tend to view them as what the record shows, which all time we're 52 wins, 19 losses, and 2 ties. But I feel like you put them up higher, that they're a bigger rival. And I guess my theory is because of when your fandom really took hold, when you were in college, and we struggled against them then. So that's my theory. How do you feel about my diagnosis of your?
I'd say that's probably pretty accurate. I think that this game historically has been, number one, Columbia sucks. So let's just start there.
It's super hot there. Yeah. Glad the game's in Athens for sure.
Columbia sucks. So just there, and then it just gets worse from there. Like their mascot is terrible. I have memories of all these kids coming into town, like basically being like a mixture of like Florida and Tennessee rolled into one fan, without the history and success.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
they had the hat that said COCK. Like they would roll around with those hats on, and it was like, ah, come on, guys. But yeah, as far as the game goes, like historically, it's always been one of those bellwether games for us. Like, is this going to be a successful season? Largely hinged on whether or not we beat the Gamecocks. If we lost to the Gamecocks, we were facing an uphill battle because we typically, you know, that would be a sign that we were going to lose to Florida or something like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, in 2007, when the year my daughter was born, this game actually was on my birthday, and
Ugh.
yeah,
Ugh. I
so
remember that one.
my daughter and I share the same birthday. My daughter and I share the same birthday, and that was like her entry into the world, which was like on a super sour note. I like snuck out and went and got some beer, and brought it into the hospital room, and I was holding her skin to skin, drinking some Newcastles, I think it was, as I recall. Watching Georgia just wet the bed and thinking to
Right.
myself, this isn't how it normally goes, Carly. I'm sorry.
Right. Right. There was like many balls dropped in the end zone. That game is all I can. That's all I can remember.
Yeah, but I think pretty similarly, like we started rocking and rolling. The defense was, playing lights out, and then the offense decided to start rolling, and we ended up being like one of the top teams in the country, and got kind of hosed at the end with, we we lost to South Carolina, and it ruined everything.
That's what did us in. That loss did us in, and then and Tennessee, but that year. But
Yeah,
yeah, that South
yeah,
Carolina loss was really what hurt us that year.
yeah.
So okay, so I think that's fair because I was feeling like you were saying like what you just said makes more sense than what I was remembering. I was talking about roughly a year ago. I was thinking you were saying like it's either kind of us or them in the East, but it's not so much that. It's just that when we lose this game, I don't know
When we lose
that
this
we're
game,
not going to have a good season. But it
it
doesn't
ruins
necessarily
my
mean that they're going to
birthday.
have a good season. It just means that we're not going to have a good season and ruins your birthday. Right. Right.
Correct, and it completely ruins the time period around my birthday. And like lately, like as an adult, and over the last 13 or so years, I guess 14, because my daughter's 14, but over the last 14 years or so, it's been like one of those games where it's like my present to myself is I have people over for the South Carolina game. So that's like
Yeah.
just the festiveness for my birthday is kind of around this time period.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know we have. So I rattled off the all time series. It has been closer, I guess, in the total since they joined the conference. So it is 19-10 since they came to the SEC again in Georgia's favor, and then it is 6-4 again Georgia's edge in the last 10. So we've won 6 of the last 10. Um, so yeah, so I don't know. I guess that's kind of what I had, just like on the all time matchup type stuff. Oh, and I forgot something. I had one thing going back to last episode. So if you recall, we were reviewing UAB. I was talking about like, could we have ever had back to back games with the pick six? I don't know if you remember I brought that up, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
I couldn't figure it out. So I did. I went to Twitter today, and I tagged some of the greats. So I tagged Jeff Dantzler, I tagged Patrick Garvin, and I tagged John Frierson, and to see if they knew had we ever done it, and had we ever done it in the first 2 games. They were getting stumped, but someone who follows me and follows the podcast, so Bo at 11_Bo, he actually came up with 2 examples. I can't believe this.
Wow.
Yeah, so in two, so not in the first 2 games though, but like late. They're actually both kind of late in the season. So the most recent one was 2001. So it was Jermaine Phillips had a pick six at Ole Miss, and then the following week, Tim Wansley had a pick six at Georgia Tech. So that was your freshman year, right? That was that Donan's or no, wait, 01 was your sophomore year. That was Rick's first year.
That would have been Rick's first year, yeah.
Now but it also happened to your freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2000, Terrell Vieira had a pick six at Auburn, and the following week, again, Tim Wansley against Ole Miss. So Tim Wansley was involved in the second game both times.
But those were during the season. Those weren't to start the season.
Yeah,
right?
So not to start the season. So I think to start the season, I still have not heard any examples. So I think we're still haven't had that happen as far as we can tell.
That's a pretty interesting stat. I would love for that to keep rolling, and I would love for you to continue to stump those guys on whether or not this is the first time this happened 3 games in a row.
Ooh, there we go.
4 games in a row, 5 games in a row.
Right. Seriously. Well, I know we'll have a good wild atmosphere for the game. So 7:00 night game on ESPN, SEC opener, and I guess a question I have for you, like, is kind of getting into news and notes. Like, I know like Kirby has been saying that. No like revenge or the last game, the last time we lost to these guys at home, like that's not going to be a factor. But I don't know, I'm kind of wondering if this is a bit of a revenge game, and could this season turn into a bit of a revenge tour? Kind of like 2017 was.
Yeah, I'm down with it. We don't really have much to avenge, at least I don't think, but. Aside from just continuing to beat the piss out of Dan Mullen. So,
well, that's the thing. Yeah. So you could avenge the home loss to South Carolina. Well, it was two years ago. Then avenge the Florida game, right? And then ultimately, you hope you can get Alabama. So, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've got a good opportunity to do all of these things.
Yeah. So I was just the couple of things I did see from the press conference. So one, just on the quarterback situation, which is actually kind of partly why we waited to record it until Wednesday. But we still don't really have a true update. The only thing was that throughout the week we've been hearing something about Stetson Bennett having a lower back issue. But I know Anthony Dasher and Seth Emerson were both saying that it sounds like he's fine. And like specifically, Emerson was saying that James Cook said that he didn't even know Bennett was hurt.
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. And I think was it Sawyer had mentioned that they were both basically taking even number of snaps with the first team.
Yep, exactly, correct. That is what he said. So there was that, and then the only other thing that stood out to me from the press conference was Kirby Smart got asked about Will Muschamp going against the team he used to coach. And Kirby said, he's had this situation before because he's been all over the SEC. And he chuckled. So, got to kick out of that.
I feel like that's the kind of comment that you can only say when you've been like buddies with someone for so long.
Right, exactly.
Like, he's not going to say anything about that. Like if that had been like Monken or Dan Lanning or something like that. Like,
right, for sure. Exactly. So, I guess the only other thing I'm remembering from that same game 2 years ago. And so my question for you is, for this game, do you think that Kirby will let DJ Shockley know pregame whether the team is or is not ready to play?
I don't think he's going to be. I think we're hopeful that we're going to go full tilt.
True. I still can't. That was one thing I had intended to go grab that audio and play it because I have it somewhere. Because I remember like I got all fired up about that when that happened 2 years ago. It's like Kirby knew that they weren't ready because he said that to Chuck Dowdle before the game, right? He's like, we're not ready to play.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if he'll give such kind of info. or not to DJ. We'll see. We'll see. Probably not. Probably not.
I'm hoping that we have a complete game. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for all facets firing on all cylinders. Basically
Yeah.
taking the right off where we left with UAB basically and just running with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, have you seen any of them? Because all I've seen, I watched like kind of an extended highlight, the ESPN highlight package from their game against East Carolina. That's all that
Mm-hmm.
I've seen. I didn't watch anything else. Um,
Yeah, I haven't really seen a whole lot from South Carolina. Been obviously looking at some of the stats and things like that, but
yeah.
saw the East Carolina game as well. The ending there. One of my buddies from the workout group, shout out to Josh Homewrecker. Um, he's a graduate of East Carolina, and I have a neighbor who's a liquor distributor. Shout out to Rob Hart. He is an East Carolina graduate as well. So I have a little bit of folks in my circles that were East Carolina folks, and I know that they were super bummed to have like lost like that to South Carolina because I know that they were really jazzed for it.
Yeah, I mean, they jumped out to that lead on that trick play early. They had
Mm-hmm.
like an end around pass. I don't know, but yeah, they had what that I think it was a pick six, right? On like it was like a screen and that went off the back's hands. It was unfortunate, but oh, go ahead.
Is Kyrus going to make an appearance on an end around touchdown pass?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think the question there is Kieras going to make an appearance on offense,
On
right?
offense, yeah.
Which I don't know. I guess I can kind of segue us into talking about the offense. I mean, that was that's one of my question marks, right? Is
Sure.
Will Kieras play wide receiver? I don't know. Like he had that tweet earlier this week, and it had like pictures of him, right, like from the game, and he said something to the effect of like that you've got to love special teams, and there's
Mm-hmm.
like a winky face emoji or something. So I don't know if that's like he's saying if he was literally just saying you have to love special teams to be good at it, or was that like, hey, I'm going to play receiver this week? I'm not sure how to like. Should I read anything between the lines there, or do you think that was just like I love special teams?
It's fine. I love tea leaf reading on player tweets. So let's all just say a collective prayer or whatever. That Kyrus is back on the offensive side of the ball for us.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that would be
I'd rather
good.
him catch passes than punts, to be honest with you. So
Right, right. Agreed. Yeah, so that's a question mark. I mean, then the other receiver question mark is Arian Smith. Hope he can go. He limped off after that winning completion. Although I don't know, it sounded like he's good to go. Like it was just a bruise, and he was going in practice. So, but who knows? We'll see. And, Kirby's
haven't
always
seen
hopeful.
any haven't seen any chatter about him. That's for sure. Not that we
Yeah,
should expect anything coming from the coaching staff in the way of
right,
injuries.
right. So I don't know. So that's there for the offense, and then the other thing is just like I guess that two things. We already talked about we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Although I do kind of question does it matter against this opponent. Um, I'm not really sure. I mean,
I don't know.
I would say we're between Stetson and JT,
Kirk
right?
Kirk Herbstreit thinks that we could just grab someone from the side from the stands and throw them out there at quarterback because it's not going to matter. This Georgia team is going to beat you with defense.
Right. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, UAB might actually be better than South Carolina. I mean, I think we'll see. I don't know that the score will still be the same, like that, but um, I don't know. I would again like to see like can we get the running game going in this game? We all know that I love to run the ball, so I would
Well,
like to see that.
so from an offensive side of things, so you basically have two blueprints, right? So you've got the Clemson blueprint where they dropped 8 and basically said you're not gonna go over the top on us. You're gonna have to beat
Mm-hmm.
us with your running game, and you're gonna have to go through our buzzsaw of a front seven. So They drop 8, leaving us with no other option but to grind out a win.
Right.
If you go the opposite direction and try to actually play ball and try to shut down the run and leaving yourself open to the pass, you saw Monken say, "Okay, fine, we'll take the yards over the top." That
Right.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was kind of what we were looking for. And I got to
That's
tell
true.
you, it is so refreshing to see our wide receivers that we know are so talented dancing by themselves 40 yards downfield.
Right. Right.
Screaming for the ball. And I love the fact that we see, I think there were 2 different plays that this happened, but like the one play to Arian Smith where JT Daniels, like as soon as Stetson lets the ball go, JT Daniels has his hands up, touchdown. And
Yep.
then
Yeah.
there was another.
Lane Kiffin style. Lane Kiffin style.
Yeah, well, he didn't throw his clipboard. That would have been awesome.
True.
But then you've also got the other pass. I think it was to Burton. I can't remember. Um,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the other pass and the entire wide receiver room did the same thing. Like as soon as they saw him get off, as soon as he had his get off, it was like, oh, there it is, touchdown. It's happening. Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is super fun to watch. And it tells me that they know what they've got. And if you give them the opportunity, they're gonna take it.
Yeah, and I guess I mean I don't know. I guess like if I'm a defensive coordinator and looking at the 2 games, like what Clemson did, certainly seems to have been more effective than what UAB tried to do.
Sure.
So, but we'll see. I mean, but again, like I don't know, like or South Carolina doesn't have the athletes that Clemson has, so I don't know if it would be as effective. But yeah, it'll be. So I don't know. I definitely expect to see Monken take what the defense gives him. He's shown that he'll do that. So yeah, it is a lot about what will their game plan be. Again, if I was them, I think I would drop 8. Right? I mean, or I would drop back in coverage and make Georgia ground it out. So just based on
Yeah.
what we've seen thus far, because we've seen that Georgia can burn you if you don't do that.
I mean,
So
you can't let Stetson Bennett throw for 5 touchdowns. Like you just
yeah,
can't. There's just no. He showed that he can do that. So you
yep,
can't let him do that. What I would like to see, another thing that I would like to see, just like consistency, getting good push, whatever, taking what the defense gives you, all that jazz is great. The other thing that I
yep,
would like to see is let's rather than having a scripted like you're going to get 2 series, whatever, the quarterback, whoever trots out as a starter, I don't care at this point. I really don't. It is what it is. If JT's healthy enough and Kirby thinks that he's healthy enough and Ron Corson thinks that he's healthy enough and he trots out there as the starter, great. If it's not working, certainly go back to the drawing board and bring in Stetson or Carson or whoever it is. Obviously, I think we're all kind of the same mindset that Stetson's clearly the backup at this point, right?
yes,
So
agreed.
so whoever it is, you bring them in, start the game, and if we're rocking and rolling, just stick with it. Like that
Yeah,
whole scripted thing. Like when you jumped out that big, 14-0, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, all right, let's see what we got here.
yeah, but I think that was also a function of the fact that it was UAB. Frankly, regardless of who is the starter this game, I don't see like a planned rotation as part of the
Okay.
plan against an SEC opponent. Would be my guess. That's my guess. So
So
we'll see.
your thought is that it just means more.
Exactly. This game means more, and then we'll see more. Unless I don't expect to see. I'll say I don't expect to see any kind of rotation, right? Like mop up duty or something like that. That would be the only
Okay.
reason. So, I got a couple of things for our defense, their offense. This one was interesting.
Our our defense,
Our
their offense.
defense, their
Okay.
offense. So switching to defense. I actually listened to Bulldogs by the Numbers this week, so they're back with Tug Cowart and Brent Rollins. And one of the things that Brent pointed out, and this was shocking to me, was that Georgia's defense has actually the highest team coverage grade in the nation through 2 weeks. Which, think back before the season, what were we worried about? secondary and coverage. So that was pretty interesting. Although I guess their grades are subjective or whatever, but still based on something. He also said that Latavius Brini is the highest graded defender on the Georgia defense, which is also super interesting to me. So that's one of the things to watch too. Like as Tyke Smith comes back, whenever he comes back, I don't expect that to be this week. And same with Washington. We didn't talk about that. I don't expect either of them back this week. I don't know, like, how's that rotation going to work? Because Brini's playing really well. I guess just adds more depth, but it'll be interesting to see.
It will. You like to think that the reason that he was brought on was to make the defense better. So just imagine if he makes things better.
Right. True. And then, so on, they're also dealing with quarterback questions from injury, right? So, Luke Doty was the quarterback when we faced them last year. He's been injured. They've been playing Zeb Noland, who, if you don't know the story, actually went to South Carolina, had a year of eligibility left. Thought he was just thought his college football career was over. Was at South Carolina as a grad assistant, and then with the depth issues, they were like, "Hey, you want to play quarterback?" And he started the first two games. He's actually he played at Oconee County High School, right there, right by Athens. So I don't know. We'll see. And so the funny thing about that is Shane Beamer was asked, what was Doty's status? And seriously, he said that he's hopeful that Doty can go. So proving, that clearly Shane Beamer is a former Kirby Smart assistant because he said that he was hopeful.
We're hopeful that he can go full tilt.
Exactly. Oh, if he had said full tilt, I would have lost it. But I don't know. It did sound like, and then as he continued on, it kept sounding like Kirby. He was like, well, he was repping, he was out there practice. So very similar style to what Kirby says. So that'll be something to watch. And then also, I know their running back Kevin Harris that they had was 1,000-yard back last year. He missed the opener, so I'm not sure. I assume he was injured. He missed the opener. I think he only got 7 carries last week. So, but in that absence, this guy Juju McDowell, he's got the most carries, but not yards. But he definitely jumped out to me watching their highlight package. I don't know if you saw him. He's he's kind of compact, I guess I would say. Doesn't look like a super big guy, but looks very shifty. Had a couple of good runs against East Carolina from what I saw. So wow, he was a guy to watch out for me on their offense.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like that their offense has been fairly pedestrian. They're not too far off on offense to where Georgia is, but the difference is they haven't played Clemson, they haven't played UAB, so they're competitive sets. Which there's a lot of teams in the SEC that are kind of rolling into this weekend with, what do we really have here, guys? Because we haven't really been tested. We got guys that are playing, FCS schools and schools that haven't won in many years. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see the situation that they have with their, their defense and what they've given up from an offensive line standpoint, like tackles for loss and things like that. I feel pretty good that our defense is going to be able to get at these guys. So, they've given up a lot of sacks. I think that they're in the bottom half of the SEC in terms of sacks that are allowed. My dad rattled off a stat that I didn't know, I hadn't heard, but he rattled off a stat. He probably got it from a dog vent, so take it with a grain of salt. But he was talking about their offensive line, how it's the worst graded offensive line in the SEC or something like that. So,
okay.
Based on the tackles for loss and the sacks allowed, that probably is going to be at least pretty close. Anyway, the looking at the stats, which I use college football stats, but looking at the stats, it looks like that our defense should feast pretty nicely on this. They're not too big of a threat in the passing game, and they're more of a threat on the running game, which I feel like is really going to feed into the strength of our defense is shutting down the run.
True. And I guess the only thing I would question
You doing
there.
dishes over there? What are you doing?
I was getting ice. So because I got the clear ice, so I've got like in an ice bucket.
You got it like
Another
a
ice,
hotel ice bucket.
so it didn't melt. Hey, well, you don't have an ice bucket at the bar?
Just go to the freezer.
Yeah, but then I got to walk away from here. I'm all set up. All set up at my desk. I guess the only thing I would question with that, the only thing you could counter that really is that they haven't had Doty, right? I guess because he's mobile, right? He can move around a little bit, so could change things a little bit. But in general, yeah, I would agree. But I don't know. That's the X factor here on like what we've seen out of them to date versus what we could see. Right? Is will he be playing or not? So.
And your prediction is that he does or does not?
So I don't know. That's like I don't know. I think maybe we should do that in the predictions. I don't know if I can trust Shane. Can you trust Shane Beamer? Is he as unreliable as Kirby?
I don't know, man. I figure he's probably. I don't know. My guess is that he's not going to play.
Okay. To be interesting and disagree, I'm going to say that he is. I'm going to trust Shane Beamer. I'm going to think that Shane Beamer is not lying to me when he said that he was repping and that he is hopeful that he'll play.
The other side of it is, who's going to start on the Georgias? Who's going to start at Georgia? Is it going to be JT Daniels or is it going to be the mailman?
We'll get that. We'll get to that in the predictions. We unless you want to go ahead and hit that. Actually, I think that was a listener question too. So let's table that on what you actually think will happen. But I think we agree that either way, we're going to be okay for this game.
For sure. I think it's this game again. Like I always struggle with the historical context, and part of that is the Richt regime.
It was Richt, and it was also again. I'm telling you, this is because of when you were. Right. You're going back to when you were in school, but it was Richt regime plus that. I mean, that was when they were at their highest. Like these years that you're thinking of that are in your head that you're thinking of. That was like when Lou Holtz elevated them, and then when Spurrier was able to sustain that further and take it a little bit higher until Grayson Lambert forced him into retirement. But that's what you're remembering, and they have not resurrected back to that level yet. Since then. So
even in the Donnan years, it was like there's some hit and miss games, like some really really close games and things like that. So even what was it?
Well, but that was with the arrival of Holtz, though. I think.
But I sent you another one. Was it Dooley? Was it a Dooley game? The
crazy end of the game one.
1986. Yeah, that was another close one that ended in really weird fashion where you just dropped the ball.
Yeah. Yes. Thankfully, you could not advance a fumble back then.
But that's like one of those things. It's like it just kind of goes into that history that there's been some close games in this. I think there was one stat that I feel like that I remember seeing. It's been blown out of the water as of late, but like. There was a while there where like the average like margin of victory on this thing was like less than 6 points, like on average or something like that. Like crazy low number. Like it was always a tight game. So historically, it's always been a tight game. So that's kind of where I retreat to, and it's kind of been hammered in my head, obviously, from some of the recency bias that I have, which. Frankly, I feel like carries more weight because it's just what's.
Well, that's true.
It's just been what's going on. But yeah, I don't think that it's going to be that way, and obviously Vegas doesn't think it's going to be that way.
Yeah.
And it looks like that a lot of the bettors are taking the over on this, which I find just absolutely absurd. But hey, here we are. JT Daniels,
Yeah.
if you're healthy and you go out slinging it around, uh, you know, I definitely see that happening. If he's healthy, if JT Daniels is healthy, definitely can see that happening. But I'm not super convinced that he is, which makes this a dangerous game to gamble on.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see the quarter with the quarterback thing, but I just think it honestly, like my analysis of this game is like last week. If it's on this game, and Kirby said the same thing about 19. So I did see like in this week when he was getting asked about just basically bringing that back up, revenge, et cetera. Is it motivation? What happened in that game? And what he said was that what happened in that game was more about Georgia than it was about South Carolina, right? And that 100% agree. I mean that we didn't have it that day, right? Kirby knew it before kickoff, and you could see it; it was evident. And again, that's that thing, right? I mean, there was a huge. I don't even know what the spread was. I know it was astronomical. Definitely shouldn't have lost that game. That's that 18 to 22-year-olds got to you've got to get up. You've got to get up for opponent because when you don't, that kind of thing can happen. And this is the same thing, right? I mean, as long as we're up for it, we'll be in good shape. And I said the same thing last week, right? And we were up for it, and we saw what happened when we were. So, on I did like quick on the special teams. We already talked about hoping that Jackpot can kind of right the ship there. I know Kirby did talk about that a bit, and he's got the most confidence in Jackpot. But did want to call out as well the same guy, the guy I mentioned, the running back, Juju McDowell. He also returns kicks for them. So again, we've had great coverage thus far. So we will need to keep that up. He's one to watch out for in the kick return game. So,
Yeah, which I think our special teams coverage has been really nice
it has been. I would
this
agree.
year. So I don't know. I'm not super worried about this game as far as like how hard am I Munsoning on a scale of 1 to 10? It's probably about a 3. So I'm not super concerned about one way either side. Now, if it's pouring down rain and balls are slipping out of wide receivers' hands and quarterbacks' hands like we've seen recently, then the Munsoning might get ramped up a little bit here, which I believe haven't actually looked. Have you looked? What's the weather for Saturday looking like?
Oh, now I'm Munsoning. No, so I looked it up. Actually, it looks like 50% chance of thunderstorms is actually what it looks like on Saturday in Athens.
I was about to say, because I'm actually looking. I was about to say I feel like that I saw that the weather was supposed to be rainy on Saturday, and I am eyeing that because I'm supposed to be in Fayetteville for soccer with young Carter on Saturday. So I was hoping that his games would be over early, and then I would be back for my own little personal tailgate at home. But if it's raining, might get canceled, which would really suck.
Yeah, we will be. We also have soccer. Although, yeah, I'll have to follow that weather as well. We've got first regular season game for Lily is Saturday. And I do, last episode we talked about our favorite foods. I think I'm going to make the bean dip for this game. So
Ponda's famous bean dip.
Planning to make Ponda's famous bean dip. Hey, maybe I could release the recipe so that if any listeners, or
like
you, if you want to make the bean dip,
yes, I was
maybe I'll
about to
throw the
say,
recipe out there.
throw it out there. Yeah, I might smoke some wings on the smoker that I have over there.
Nice. All right, let's. You want to hit some listener questions? We got a good bit of them.
Let's rock and roll through it. Unless are we done with the game analysis?
Do you have anything to add to it?
Well, no, I was just gonna say, are we doing predictions later? Is that what we're gonna do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. rock and roll the questions.
Did you not read the Google document?
Yes, I did. I was just making sure I was following along because we bounce around. We go off the rails and we bounce around, Jim.
That's true. That's
This
true.
is not
That's
my
true.
first rodeo on My God
Sometimes,
podcast.
sometimes we veer off the path. That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so first question comes in from Matt Moore at Matt Moore. Wait, I gotta make sure I get his handle right. Okay, it didn't change. At M Moore ATL UTD. Friend of the show, longtime friend of mine. Matt, I've known Matt since kindergarten. Best player you've seen do the dog walk. And then he says, mine, and he tags someone, Johnny Insania. He said that their best player they've seen was Max, and I'm going to get some pronunciation guide in here. Max Jean Guillet, which I used to say Max Jean Gillis back in the day, but apparently that was incorrect. Do you have a best player you've seen go through the dog walk?
Best player. I mean, how are we defining best here? Like just best energy all around?
Always with the. I didn't ask the question. Do I need to text Matt and ask him?
I have no context for what this actually means.
Always with the clarifying questions. Best means however you define it. Do I need to answer first?
Go ahead. While I'm pondering this.
I was going to say Pollock because I actually I haven't been to the dog walk in a while. It's been a while since I've been to one. So I'm going to say Pollock.
So I'm going to do a little cheating on this one. And okay. I'm going to also tie in his NFL career on some of this. But Mecole Hardman always brought the juice on his walks, I felt like. And I don't know if you follow him, he's got a thing that he does every time he dresses up in some kind of get up, like a costume sometimes. I think one time he dressed up like Marty McFly. He dressed up like an astronaut one time. I don't know. He just has a different energy and a swagger, I guess, for lack of a better description.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Mecole because I remember him walking in. He always looked on point. He always looked sharp, and he always had that confidence.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is from Zach at SCDog864 on Twitter. Feelings about bringing on Clay Helton as an offensive analyst eventually. So that would be recently terminated other actual USC head coach Clay Helton. What do you think?
I mean, is that really something that he's known for as an offensive analyst?
Yeah. He's an offensive guy. That's kind of his thing. Yeah.
I mean, I don't really hear a whole lot about USC lighting things up from an offense standpoint, but I am all for the University of Georgia being the out to pasture, gap year for some of these guys.
Right.
I'm all for bringing in the best minds in the same way that Nick Saban has brought in the best minds to rehabilitate their careers. I will add to this and say, in the same vein that I have with that, when Coach O gets fired before November, as I predicted previously, I absolutely want him in Athens for recruiting as well as his defensive mind, because he's a great recruiter and he's a great defensive coach. He's just very much like Muschamp. So, I'm all for keeping coaches in the fold so that you can pivot to them as a coordinator if you lose one of your coordinators.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, no, I really have nothing to add. I'm all for all the, as many former head coaches on staff as possible. So, agreed.
Amen.
Okay. So I'm glad that this person asked a question this week because I had an epiphany. This is a frequent questioner, and I've been pronouncing their handle wrong. I finally figured out the reference. So it's 5127 GATA. I've kept saying 5127, but I believe it's supposed to be 5127. Do you know what that is? 51-7. Does that ring a bell to you at all?
51-7. Is that the Georgia Tech score?
It is. From what year?
2018? 2019?
No, way back. That's 2002. So that that
Okay.
first SEC championship game win season. That was the score of the Tech game that year. So
Uh,
so now that I'm saying it right,
I'm
uh,
gonna hear. I guess I should have known that because chances of them having a handle from that recent is probably very minimal. So I'll probably hear about the catch hell for that one.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. But yeah, so I will. So no longer 5127 GATA 51-7. So,
I
anyways,
like it.
uh, with the school honoring the first five at the South Carolina game, is it time for some statues or monuments of former players, coaches, DGDs to go up and around the stadium? I would like to see something like they have at the Brave Stadium, or even Monument Park at Yankee Stadium. Um, so, just quick background for those that don't know. So, at the game this weekend, they will be honoring the first five. So that was the basically like breaking the color barrier, Georgia football. So the first black players that were on scholarship and played at Georgia back in '71. So this is the 50th anniversary of that. So that was Richard Appleby, Chuck Kinnebrew, Horace King, Clarence Pope, and Larry West. So they're all going to be honored at the game this week. And
Hmm.
also, I'll add, Richard Appleby was, you know, a subject of one of Munson's greatest calls, like Appleby to Washington, the end around, like
Hmm.
that was him. So he took an end around and actually threw a pass. That was kind of his most famous play. Um, I do think. I mean, I would like to see more of that. Like it's so. I guess my one example is like Dooley already does have a statue, but it's not at the stadium, which always seemed kind of weird to me. Like I know he was the athletic director as well, but the statue itself is like of him being carried off the field. I think, like from the national championship game, and it's over by Stegman. So to me, I think that should be more over by the stadium. I haven't been to the new Brave Stadium yet, so I don't know if you know what he's referring to. The statues at the new Brave Stadium.
I
Um,
do. I do. Matter of fact, there's a pretty prominent statue. I believe it's next to it's next to the gates that you walk up to if you park. Um, I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's right next to the gates. There's one of Bobby Cox, and he's kind of like propped up that people like to take a
mm,
picture with. It's actually one of the more unique ones for Bobby Cox, actually, because most of them are like baseball players and baseball poses and pitcher poses or whatever. Um, but Bobby obviously is just sitting up there with his arm propped up. I think, if I remember correctly. But
so
yeah,
he's not like getting ejected from a
he's
game or
not
something.
he's not yelling. He's not yelling at a ump. um, Yeah, no, I'm all for the statues, man. Um,
Yeah.
decorate decorate my stadium with all of the years, all the glorious heroes, because I think that's good stuff. Because then it gives you something to kind of point to kids, something tangible for them to like latch onto and look at. I mean, even inside the Brave Stadium, there's stuff like that. They got like bobbleheads and stuff like that. Um, So yeah, I mean, anything that you can do to tie to the all the things that you talk about. I mean, hell, how awesome would it be to have a Munson statue out there? You know what I mean?
Oh yes,
We could
agreed.
do our we could do podcast on location at the Munson statue.
With the Munson statue. Oh, I love
we could
that. Yes.
we could Munson while Munson is Munsoning.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I had because one of my dogs is Munson, and like we have a what we call Munsoning for him is very different than us because when he has his like little idiosyncrasies, and we call that his Munsoning.
you could
I have to
hold
bring
you could hold Munson while you Munson next to the statue
next to
of
the
Munson
Munson
Munsoning.
next to the statue of Munson. Yeah, it's got to be like him like actively announcing, but
Yeah,
like
for sure.
intense, like in our GIF when he's Munsoning. Love it. I had because I mean I was obviously like you think to me I say move the Dewey statue, Herschel statue, But yeah, Munson statue has to be next in line. I like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
there's a number of different ways that I feel like that you could do it. In my head, like if obviously we're a little partial to Munson, right? So in my head, I would absolutely do like a statue of him breaking a chair. Like
oh yeah,
let's visualize what that might look like.
right,
Um,
right. Well, it's got
let's
to have about a 5-inch cushion. So
yeah, it's got to
just
be
we got to
five
have it.
inches, and you could
Got to be
actually
accurate.
like measure it.
Right. It's got to be accurate.
But then some other stuff like you know, I I wouldn't mind having Lindsey Scott like catching the ball like as his
Hmm.
little jump that he does. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like stuff like that that
Yeah.
you can always go back to the video, but like having something tangible that's always omnipresent there, and just be like, yeah, man, we're gonna meet the Lindsey Scott statue. That's awesome.
Mm, yeah, I like that. Um, Jim Cooney, Coondog069 had chimed in, and basically, I think we just answered his question. So his was like, what statues would you do? So I think we hit that. So all right, I'm gonna need your help on this next one, or maybe we just don't even answer this one. Like apologies because we're not as big into this stuff. I'll admit. So this is from Aaron King. Um, in your opinion, who are the top 3 recruits we have to land in the 2022 class? And this is where like I try not to pay attention, so I don't know. Like all the guys that the
You,
people
I,
that I'm following right now are like later than 2022,
oh, right. What year is
right?
Sammy? What year is Sammy?
Yeah, so that's the thing. Yeah, so obviously, yeah, for me, the most important recruit is my cousin, Sammy Brown. Um, he is, so he's only a sophomore in high school. So he's like 2024.
Dude, this kid's gonna be like the number one recruit in the nation by the time he gets to be a senior. I feel
Yeah,
like
he's pretty good, man.
there's so much juice around this kid right now. Sammy, if you're listening, come to Georgia, baby.
Hey, hey, when I retweeted his tweet, if you saw the picture that he tweeted with like him and Tate Radledge and said like Mullet Brothers or Mullet Patrol or something, it was pretty awesome. Um,
It's
I
so
retweeted it and he
awesome.
liked it. Obviously, I've never met him, but he is my cousin. Um, so yeah, and then like the other ones that I'm focused on are like Justice Haynes. Like mine are all like sentimental. Justice Haynes, I want to come, and he's I think 2023, and then or like Manning, like he's 2023. I don't know.
Is
I
he
guess
okay?
Bear Alexander, with Bear Alexander because he's still uncommitted, right? I'd love to get him.
I would
I don't know that he's
say,
most important, but I don't know that he's must
yeah.
have or whatever. But
Isn't
he's there for me.
isn't Delph another one that they're talking about? Although I'm sure he's kind of
I think that's right.
looking
Or yeah, Oscar. Is it
Oscar Delph. Yeah,
Delph or I don't even know his.
Delph. I think it's
I,
Oscar
I
Delph.
don't I don't officially know how to pronounce anyone's name until I hear Scott Howard say it. Apologies.
So
So that's
so
me.
my
That's because I gave up recruiting in college. I can't. I got really into it, and like the person that I wanted to come to Georgia didn't, and it ended up like not mattering. So I don't. I try not to pay attention.
yeah, as long as we're getting the players that Kirby wants and they're we're in the top top 5 in recruiting, I really don't care. Once we start dropping below that, I'm like, wait, what? What's going on?
Yeah, that's where I like fully go like in Kirby we trust, right? I trust
Yeah,
Kirby. I trust him to evaluate, and I'm going to get excited about who we sign
yeah.
until
Now,
that's proven
now,
wrong.
now that said, when I hear about guys like Bear Alexander, when I hear about guys like Oscar Delph, obviously those are players that sound like Bear Alexander. I would say sounds like we need to really get that kid. He's like a can't miss type recruit.
Yeah.
Other than that, where I go to is again, much like what you have alluded to previously, is when did my fandom really start blossoming as a
Mm-hmm.
follower? Um, is the offensive line. Like I'm always gonna be like get all like I want all the offensive linemen. because I'm just so used to like not getting those 5-star offensive linemen from the rookie
Right.
years. So it's like,
Right.
or those years where it's like, wait, we didn't get any offensive linemen this year. Like what? How does that?
What is going
How,
on here?
how does that happen?
Okay.
So whoever the stud offensive linemen are that's on our board, like those are the ones that I want. Whoever they are, I don't
That's
care.
fair. That's fair. That's fair. I should have, like last time I brought in my buddy, Matt Parrott, the Knights groundskeeper. I should have texted John Tweets about this. He could have given us this answer for sure. So sorry to disappoint Aaron. I don't know. We're not the biggest on the recruiting.
Did
But
Aaron offer his top 3?
he did not. He did not. I'll ask him. I'll ask him on Twitter.
Aaron, drop it to us. Let's see.
Yeah, for
Educate
sure.
us a little bit.
For sure. Okay. Andy Coleman at Rain T Dog on Twitter.
Oh, Andy, that's my buddy.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Really smart football guy. I like Andy. He's a good dude.
So he says Beck versus Vandegrift. Who's the future?
It's got to be Vandegrift, right? Like that's.
Yeah.
I mean, if you listen to the previous review, I'm not exactly as impressed with what I've seen from Beck's body of work. Obviously, it's very small, but and
when we previewed UAB, you forgot that he was supposed to be the backup.
To be fair, we haven't seen a whole lot from Vandegrift either.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling, just based on what I've seen, that Vandegrift is probably going to be the future. Now, if he's going to be the future, I don't know. I felt the same way about Beck, but I give Brock a pass because he's so new to the program. But like, guy needs to put on some pounds, man. I don't know. Some of these kids are really skinny.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like. I mean, can I pivot and say Gunnar Stockton?
Ooh.
So I don't know.
Jim with the patented none of the above.
None of the above. But so I would say like I think Vandegrift has a higher upside, and he's more dual threat, which I think Monken seems to like. I believe. But from what I've heard and like listening to like Aaron Murray, seems to think that Beck has the bigger arm talent. So I don't know. I mean, and I don't think we saw anything to give us any kind of indication this past weekend. But I would say between the two, I would also lean Vandegrift.
If I was a betting man, I would say Andy's probably leaning towards Vandegrift.
Okay, cool. All right, let's see. Fletcher Proctor at F Proctor on Twitter. If 1980 becomes 2021, how many assistants do we lose? Will the new secondary coach go to be a defensive coordinator somewhere? How many offensive coaches will we lose? Now, here's what I appreciate about Fletcher's question is that he's turned a question, or he's turned like a concept, right? That we win our first national championship since 1980, and then he flips it into Munsoning. Like, that's impressive. only Georgia fans can do this, and like I so appreciate it.
Seriously, I'll tackle this one first. I don't care.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
let's cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm sure. Here's the thing. So we got Muschamp here. Which I think that you and I have been kind of on that same page that it feels like it's a insurance policy if Dan Lanning leaves, to then pivot to having Muschamp as the defensive coordinator, which, I think it's okay. I think it's fine. Monken, all right, so if I'm being totally transparent and honest, I don't know that Monken is here more than a couple more years. I don't see that happening. I don't know that he has any desire to go be another head coach again, but he just feels like he's definitely not going to retire here, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And then obviously the other assistants, once you get beyond the coordinator position, like, yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, how long wasn't wasn't Jarvis was on staff? I don't know if he's still on staff. I can't remember where
Jarvis Jones?
yeah, Jarvis Jones.
Yeah, he's still here.
He's still
He's
there.
still
Okay.
here. Yeah, yeah. I
So
mean,
like,
he's not like on field coach or anything. He's like a grad assistant or
right.
something like that.
Well,
Yeah.
so like Christian Robinson was that way, and now he's at Florida, and he's worked his way
Yep.
up. And so those young guys, they have to move around because that's like the only way that they can really make a living. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that we'll lose some guys to a national championship squad that need a running back coach or a quarterback or a cornerbacks coach or something like that. So, but at the same time, like, other than Coley, every every like position he's filled pretty quickly, and
Mm-hmm.
filled it with either as good or better coaches.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
he's shown a astute ability to recruit coaches as well as players. So I'm good.
Yeah, agreed. I would say, like, I think the actual answer is, like, I think Lanning would be gone. And then would someone else leave? Potentially. But I'm of the mindset that if other schools are coming and trying to take your assistant coaches away from you, that is a good sign of your program. So, you know, I think that would happen. Who knows what else? But I would say don't Munson over it, because the key to that whole thing is that 1980 becomes, or 2021 becomes 1980. So that would be awesome, and I'm not going to care about anything else.
You know what? Between you and me, like, I don't. Have we talked about this on the podcast? I don't know that we've talked about this. Do the people know about Creepy Todd Hartley?
This is the kind of thing that, like, I said no, we have not, and I'm always hesitant to bring it up. I'm like, do we want to talk about, like, do we want to make that known?
But he redeemed himself in some of the videos. It's the video content that he needs to put out there. It's the pictures is where he gets sideways.
Right. Yeah. So if you look at anytime there's a picture posted and it's like Todd Hartley, like, with a recruit in his family, I don't know. Todd he looks a little creepy in the pictures. Oh my gosh! How have we gotten this far and not talked about it? So I've been avoiding it. I've been specifically not wanting to say it because I'm like, I don't know. Should we point this out? I feel like this is bad.
Fletcher, look what you've done.
Oh, so good, so good.
I will personally miss the day when Todd Hartley leaves the coaching staff.
I know. I just saw Brooks Austin was talking him up big time because he's a good recruiter, man. He's a good recruiter, even though he takes creepy pictures.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, that's what I can't square is, like, there's got to be something because he's pulling in these tight ends left and right.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. Okay,
Coach Hartley, we love you.
We do. We love Todd Hartley. Just stick to the video content. All right. Dog Talk at Dog Talk 20 DAWG. Obviously, Phil need to point that out. I know the defense is elite through 2 weeks, so I think it will be difficult for teams to score on us. With all the injuries piling up, could Georgia still win out this season with an offense lined up like last week versus UAB? I mean, I would say, I think so. Regular season, potentially. We did talk about in the UAB review that the schedule is starting to look a little bit harder with what we've seen at Arkansas, what we've seen out of Kentucky. I think we'll find out a good bit about Auburn this weekend. And we'll, RAP Florida already. We've got Bama, but I don't know. Hey, the offense looked pretty dang good against UAB. I guess I would say, like, we're not going to see that same offense though, right? Like those guys, right? So we're Kieras is coming back. Darnell Washington will be back, right? And then Blaylock will be back at some point. And we'll get to our final predictions in a minute. JT may be back, and he'll be back eventually. So I don't know. I would say it would be tough if we don't add anyone back, but those guys are we've got reinforcements on the way. So
Yeah.
but also the defense is so good. I mean, you said in the last episode that it's the best defense we've ever had. So
It is the best defense that I can ever recall.
yeah,
And I feel like that if you were to look at it pound for pound, top to bottom, like this is probably the best defense like that has ever. I mean, I know that there's like some hue and hawing about Shane Beamer saying that this is like the most talented team that Georgia's put out there. I mean, is he wrong?
yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you saw like Kirby's response to that. He was
They
like,
say that every year.
they say that every year, and they say that and then they go on to the next opponent and they say that again. But I mean, like technically speaking, like again, can I? I'm gonna do like your thing, like define talented, right? Because
Well,
like based on recruiting rankings and et cetera, yeah, blue chip ratio, then
the
like,
blue chip ratio, yeah, that's
then
where I
mean,
would go
that's
with
right.
it. So,
Yeah, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I think that I don't know. Like you said, give me a couple of weeks. Let's get a couple of SEC games under our belt, and let's put a pin in this question mark, and
Yeah.
maybe we can do a running update on this question, just because I am curious to see how this tracks as well. Like, is JT Daniels going to come back? Is he not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And at what point do you tip the scales on making it a confident answer? I'd like to kind of watch for that.
That's fair. Kind of like, which I don't know if you've noticed this. Have you noticed that Tim Riley is doing a running uniform combo total, and he tags the podcast in it every game? Or at least nice. 2 games in, because we had the over under 3.5 uniform combinations. So we're up to 2. He's tagged us the first 2 games, like right at kickoff.
That's funny. Yeah, I think that I think we're definitely going to see some separation of the men and the boys. So the defense is what's still win out. So the question is, can we still win out?
He was saying the question was, could we still win out basically with the offense we had against UAB, with considering the defense?
Okay.
But my point is,
my
point is I don't think we have. Yeah, but my point is I don't think we won't have to. That's kind of my point, right?
Yeah, well,
because we're gonna get guys back. So
you're gonna get guys back. So
all right, next question from Irk Russell, and this may be my favorite. It is a great name. What would you do if someone duct taped a football to your hands and Jordan Davis was coming for you?
I would try to make sure that I also had taped to my hands the finest bag of Swedish fish that I could get my hands on, and throw them to the side as like a diversion.
This is a good answer.
And hope that he goes sideways, because that bastard is going to catch me.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I guarantee you that neither of us are as fast as the UAB quarterback, and he ran him down. Man. That's a much better. I have nothing. I guess I was gonna say like play dead or something. I don't know. Like I think that's my best.
That would be a fun video for the university. Like race, like basically like do one of those like videos of a player like that doing the 40-yard dash, and just invite people out to the practice facility and race the players. You know what I mean?
Like, and you could even like superimpose it like digitally.
Exactly. Yeah. That'd be so cool.
How crazy is that? Like, how fast is that guy though? I mean, like he would smoke me. I feel like Jordan Davis would absolutely smoke me in a 40-yard dash.
I feel like somebody was talking about one of the defensive linemen ran like a 4.4 40 or something like that, or a 4.5 40.
It's
just,
crazy how fast those
I
guys
mean,
are.
yeah, when you're like 6'4", 6'5", 230 plus pounds, and you're running that fast, yeah.
Yeah. So
Let's just,
thank you, Eric Russell. That was a good one.
yeah. Swedish Fish, they're his Achilles heel.
You had you that was good. That was good. All right, friend of the show, Trill Belichick at Coach Trillbill. Over under number of times ESPN broadcast reminds everyone that Muschamp used to coach in South Carolina and play for Georgia.
Where's the line?
No, he wants us to set
He wants us to set it.
it. Okay, another listener said it. Do we want to go with what he said it at? So
Another.
Brett Belding at B Belding, he replied. He said that he'd set it at 4 and he'll take the over.
Brett Belding. I wonder if he has any relation to a friend of mine.
Mr. Belding? Sorry.
No, Stacy. All right, so
See, here's one thing I want to caution you with. We did this last year. So last year we set it over under for a number of times they mentioned Mike Bobo played at Georgia. And it hit the under. Like they didn't go. It wasn't nearly as many as I thought it was going to be.
I'm gonna go on. If the line is set at 4, I'm definitely gonna take the under.
Okay. Well, first I feel like we need to modify because we need a half. So I'm going to modify it to 3.5. Now that it's at 3.5,
I'll take the
do you
under.
take over? You're still taking under.
I'm gonna take the under.
Against my better judgment, I'm going to take the over.
Just to be different.
Brett Belding added how many Shane Beamer Rose Bowl shots because he was on that 2017 staff at Georgia. I don't know. There will be at least one. I think that will be at least one. Probably just one.
There'll for sure be one.
Over under 1, and I'm going to push.
I'll push. If the over under is 1, I'm going to push. You know, I imagine that they'll probably do like that, like pregame kind of thing, and it'll be like they'll have like a side by side or a top to top, and it'll be like Coach Muschamp and Coach Bieber and Coach Muschamp.
There's totally going to be like the coaching tree thing or whatever, and have the the Saban assistant to Kirby assistant, all that kind of stuff. And Muschamp will be on there multiple times.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Cat 95 Dog at Catham 515. She was at ATD Tailgate. Are we calling for a red out crowd? Is her first question.
The answer, cheat sheet, is yes.
Yes. So this is one of those things where I think some people sometimes kind of question, right? So like the school, like who's calling for it, right? So it's not like, in the 2007 blackout game where Richt specifically said wear black. Our seniors want you to wear black, right? So the school has not announced the red out, but it is the Spike Squad. So the Spike Squad has called for a red out. I don't know. I'm always of the thought process that like I'll do what the students want to do. Like this is kind of their time, right? Like while you're in college, if they're calling for it, I'll do it. So I'm not going to the game, but if I were, I would participate in a red out. Full disclosure, I always wear red to home games unless it's a blackout.
Interesting. I would say that I would definitely be wearing my new red My God a Podcast Columbia button down, but
yeah,
that's like my go-to.
What you wore to Charlotte?
Yeah, I'm a simple man, Jim. I got like 2 outfits and I roll.
Yeah, you're not like me and Hunter. You're not like me.
No, if there's a blackout, I get a little crazy and I'll pull out the black shirt. But other than that, I've got my state traditions and my God a Podcast shirt, and I'm good to go for now.
There you go. Okay, so this gets to what I hinted to earlier, also from Cat 95 Dog. Who do you speculate to start at quarterback for Georgia? And then she adds her commentary that we will be in good hands no matter who gets to call. Go Dogs beat South Carolina. So, and our next question also is a prediction. So let's say that we're now into the prediction segment of the episode. So, who do you pick to be the starting quarterback for Georgia on Saturday night? Between the hedges, under the lights.
Stetson Bennett the fourth.
Really? Mm.
The mailman returns, and if it's raining, his big old hands are not going to drop the football.
we need that analysis. We need the hand size analysis. I know that's always like Aaron Murray is like, that's his like favorite statistic to bring up is like hand size and dealing with a wet ball.
I jokingly said that, but like I do feel like that was a thing. Like he has bigger hands. He has bigger hands than Fromm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure we got that from Aaron Murray, I think, last year. So I'm gonna go JT because I'm gonna stick with our guy John Tweet Sports, and that's what he told me. That was his prediction. So I'm gonna stick with John. So thank you, John, for doing my research for me. I don't know if that's research or a feeling, but I'm gonna go with him.
I'm going against the text thread grain. I like it.
There we go. All right. Last listener question from John at John_Michael_D. Who scores first? The Georgia defense or the Cox offense?
Georgia defense.
Ooh. This is where I'm going to get creative. Technically, I'm going to go push, and because I'm going to say neither, because the South Carolina offense will not score, and I'll get to that in a moment. I'm not saying it's a shutout. We'll get there. So,
my brain is doing my brain is doing mental ninjutsu right now.
you're like the Hangover GIF. The scene from The Hangover where all the equations are going. So, all right, let's get into our predictions. I guess for the game, I think I had one other random prediction before we get into the score. Okay. This could be an over-under at 0.5 or just will this happen? Will Kendall Milton score his first touchdown? You realize he hasn't scored a touchdown yet?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to go push. I don't know.
Will he? You can't push that. I'll say like UAB game, like the entire second half. I was sitting with my parents, and the entire second half, my dad spent like get Kendall in the end zone. Like that was like all he wanted to see. And then we got like right down there, and then like ball got snapped over Beck's head. It ended up not happening. So is this the game? I'm going to say yes. So over under 0.5 Kendall Milton touchdowns. I'm going to take the over. I say he gets in there.
I'm going to take the under.
Okay. That's kind of like taking the field. Like it's, fair. That was the only other random one I had. So let me refresh and make sure I've got the latest lines for this game.
How about over under 0.5 pick sixes?
Over under 0.5 pick sixes? Okay. Oh, man. I mean, I just feel like statistically, I'm going to take the under.
Okay.
Is that fair?
I'm going to take the over just because I freaking love it.
All right. I just excuse the typing because I was writing it down.
I just think that the defense is just putting the offensive counterparts in such a precarious position where they're going to have to get rid of the football or take some absolutely like soul crushing, drive killing, manhood stealing sacks, and they're not going to be able to afford those checks. So I predict that there will be some errant passes thrown this year, and it's going to be to our benefit.
I mean, I hope that this is one where I hope I'm wrong, and now I'm kind of regretting my pick, but I already said it, so I'm not going to say it. But so then and if that happens, I'm going to tag all the same people and say, now can you find 3 games in a row? and I'll include Bo. on that. So we'll see. I have a feeling there's no way that's ever happening.
You yourself said that we graded our secondary at the highest in the country, right?
I did say that. I mean, I didn't. I got that from Bulldogs by the numbers, so I'm relying on those
Okay.
guys. But yeah, that's what they said. I relayed that.
Sure.
So, all right, we got for the game, we have the spread is currently at Georgia by 31.5.
Mm-hmm.
And the over under is at 48 points.
So just for those keeping score at home, so Georgia has to win or lose by 31.5, or what?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, Georgia is favored by 31.5 points. So if we win by 32, we cover. If we win by 31 or less, we do not cover.
Do not cover, right? Hmm. Man,
I've got mine. I thought this through ahead of time, and
okay.
And I don't think that the lines have moved, so I'll give you mine.
Let's hear it.
And I will now reveal why I said they will not score an offensive touchdown in South Carolina, and where I went push. So actually, I looked at last year's score. I looked at what was this game last year, and last year we beat them 45-16. So I thought a little bit about like what our team was like then, what their team was like, etc. So not that really means a whole lot, but at any rate, I'm going to go Dogs cover, and we hit the over. I'm going to go 42-6. Is my prediction. And so with the 6 points, technically their offense didn't score because their special teams scored on 2 field goals. that was my thing from earlier. So 42-6, that's my prediction.
Dang, I was going to go like 47-7 or something like that. But yeah, that's like, yeah.
You can do that. We were pretty close last time, so.
Yeah. I'll go. Yeah.
You gonna see with that? 47-7?
Sure. That was my initial prediction.
Now let me clarify something with you. You've chosen that as your score. Do you want to take the over or do you want to take the under?
I know.
You're gonna do the hedge your bets, do the opposite?
Yeah, I'll take the over.
Okay. So we both took the over. So we both got the over and the cover. I mean, again,
just to clarify, the over under is 48.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're only 1 point off of it on just Georgia, which is fine.
Right.
I mean, again, like my thing is like I feel like UAB actually was pretty good. I think we just made them look bad. So again, to me, this one, it all comes down to Georgia. It all comes down to our focus, and do we just take control of the game and play like we're capable of? I mean, there's with any game, it doesn't matter who you're playing, and we saw that with Florida State and Jacksonville State last week, right? Doesn't matter who you're playing, any game, anything can happen. But I think that Kirby has these guys dialed in, they're locked in, and we're going to go full tilt.
Yeah.
So
I like it. All
right, that's what I had. So I know. So we'll see weather-wise, right? So we'll both be out and about for soccer. Although either way, night game, so we'll be back at home. But for me, it'll be different, right? I mean, so last year, every game I watched on TV. I didn't go to any. But for this season, thus far, this will be my first TV viewing experience. So it'll be different for me. So I got to decide where I'm going to watch the game. Do I watch it outside the back porch? Do I watch it inside? So we'll see. Wherever I am, I plan to have the bean dip. So I will put the recipe out there.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Am I going to watch it on the fancy patio, or am I going to watch it inside?
I got the porch set up now. I got the porch set up.
These decisions.
this is the prime time of year I feel like to watch a game outside, especially like at night. I think I may do that. It'll be pretty
Uh,
nice. I think. Well,
I'm
as long as it's not raining. As long as it's not raining.
I'm not there yet, Jim. The humidity is still a little too high. I need the humidity and the temperature to drop a touch more, a touch more.
Okay. Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. I guess later in September, October, like Georgia, Florida for sure. I always watch outside.
I do too, typically, but that's right around Halloween, and sometimes Halloween it's hit or miss. Like, there's just one year that was like absolutely freezing outside, and then there's another year where it was like 100 degrees outside. So Halloween's one of those time periods, and the Georgia Florida game is one of those time periods where it's like you could either
See,
be you could either get absolutely roasted outside, or you're gonna like be potentially cold.
yeah, well, that's true. That's true. See, that's why you got to have the covered porch like I do with the fireplace, and then so.
Ah,
You've got
flex, flex.
you've got the fire pit. You've got the fire pit out back.
I
I don't
do
want
have
to
a
hear this
fire
stuff.
pit. I don't have a covered fire pit, but I do have the fire pit. It's pretty awesome.
Fair,
I do enjoy it.
fair, fair. All right. Well, I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll be watching on TV. Let's see. So this game, yeah. So I guess we'll both be watching on TV. So game one, we were there together. We didn't have to text because we could talk to each other. Game two, you were kind of out of pocket for the first half. So this is one of those games where, like, if I don't have a text from you by halftime, I'm gonna have to like put out like make sure you're okay, like I did that one game last year.
Yeah. So I will say that there is a bit of a question mark on whether or not I'm going to be watching it live or not. I believe that I will be, but I'm sitting here and I'm going to send a shot across the bow, but like the volleyball league that Carly plays in,
Mm.
my daughter plays volleyball on a select team, and she doesn't know when her games are this weekend, and I find that just absolutely mind-boggling that we're sitting here at almost Thursday morning, and we still don't know when my daughter's volleyball games are. So if it's at night, I could be in the same boat again. But if it's in the morning, which that's what I think it's going to be, but anyway,
Okay.
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed I'll be able to watch it live and not have to mess with this game is on ESPN News.
Holy cow. Yeah, hopefully as the 7 p.m. ESPN kickoff, we won't have to deal with that. I do still find that amazing that, like, it's the number two team in the country and you're bouncing us around. Like, what in the world? That was weird. Hopefully that should never happen. That should never happen. That was ridiculous. Proves that ESPN hates us, right?
ESPN, you guys hate us. Yeah, it's some bull crap.
All right, man. Well, keep me posted. Let me know ahead of time so that I know, so that I don't get all worried that I'm not getting texts from you during the game. So keep me posted. Let me know what the plan is on Saturday, and then we'll be back to review the game when it's over.
Absolutely, man. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.